G'day and thanks for joining me for another Humble Choice Special Pass for June 2025. The series where I check out the offering of the Humble Choice bundle each month and compare reviews, value and compatibility of the bundle. My goal is to provide you with all the information you need to decide. Will you smash the Choose Games button or will you pass this time and hope for a better offering next month? At a glance, this month seems to be very divisive. Some people are very excited for one or two games on offer and others found it to be an easy month to skip. So let's dive in and see what we can find out for ourselves. Boltgun is a retro-styled shooter that has jumped on the recent trend of creating modernised boomer shooters in all their pixelated, gory glory. Set in the Warhammer 40k universe, you get access to the powerful Space Marine arsenal in order to mow down hordes of grotesque cannon fodder. Released in 2023, Boltgun currently sells for around $30 Australian. Not included in this bundle is also an expansion featuring a brand new campaign that normally goes for about $10. The game is Steam Deck verified for those that would play this on the go, though I'm not convinced that's the best way to play an FPS game. Maybe this is one that's simple enough to suit that kind of playstyle pretty well. Reviews are very positive, with 91% of the more than 13,000 lifetime reviews recommending the game. Players are praising the art style and appreciate the foray into the 40k universe. The game is regularly compared to Doom, which is generally considered to be a good thing, and it does feel like an authentic retro shooter romp, for better or for worse. Some of the negative points raised are that it can be a bit bland, just like a generic old shooter with a Warhammer skin, and some people can find the level design and overwhelming number of enemies a bit frustrating. I'm not a big Warhammer fan in any way, but it seems like a good, modernised boomer shooter experience, which I can always appreciate, so it's a yes from me. To celebrate its 25th anniversary, 1999's Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver and its sequel are back with a 2024 remaster, once again brought to us by Aspyr, who have been responsible for recent remasters of other such classics such as Tomb Raider and a slew of 90s and 2000s Star Wars games. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver is a third-person action-adventure game with a dark fantasy theme. Use a range of physical and magical combat abilities to defeat your foes and devour their souls to grow your power. In between, solve puzzles by shifting between different realms to progress. This 2024 remaster bundle currently sells for around $45, so if these classics are a bit of a nostalgia hit for you, the Humble Choice bundle is a good value way to get your hands on them. These remasters are Steam Deck verified as well, so you can take your nostalgia hit on the go. Like most of the previous Aspyr remasters, the Soul Reaver games have been well received with 91% positive lifetime reviews, though judging by most of these reviews, nostalgia plays a big part in that. A lot of people who played and loved the originals back in the day are obviously going to be the ones to grab this bundle, and from all reports it has been well done. Simply put, if you like the originals, you will be happy with these, but on the flip side, for a remaster, it seems to be simply an authentic translation to modern systems and not much more. Unfortunately, as is the case with many classic remasters, that means frustrating controls and other outdated gameplay elements are alive and well in this version too. For me, I never played these games back in the day, and so without that nostalgic appeal, there's not much there that really grabs me, so I'll pass. This dystopian detective noir experience took a lot of players by surprise when it released in 2024, providing a cinematic experience in a believable alternate future timeline. Set in the year 2329, you hit the streets of a futuristic city as a time-shifting detective on the trail of a notorious serial killer. You face your own morality and mortality in an immersive new world where immortality is no longer a distant fantasy. The game usually sells for around $40, so if you've been waiting to try it, this bundle is a good opportunity to get it for a good price. Unfortunately, most likely due to its use of Unreal Engine 5 to power its impressive, beautiful presentation, it's not supported on the Steam Deck at all, so you'll have to stay home for this one. It's currently sitting at 85% positive lifetime reviews, with players loving the beautiful setting and immersive ambient environments. People appreciate the experience as a whole, but there are some caveats. You shouldn't expect a long action-packed campaign with this one. Nobody Wants to Die is a short cinematic narrative experience with more of a focus on the thrilling storyline than the gripping gameplay, and while that's not necessarily a bad thing, you need to set your expectations before you decide if this is the kind of game for you. While it is impressive visually, this type of game is not something that generally holds my attention for too long. However, if linear narrative experiences that are a little bit more than simple walking simulators are your thing, this could be a memorable game for you. I must admit I'd never heard of 2024's Dungeons of Hinterberg until I saw it in this bundle, but the striking art style definitely caught my eye. It's a relaxing exploration game packed with puzzles. You're tasked with fostering relationships with the people around you in return for their assistance with proceeding in the game. It's not all holding hands and solving riddles though, as you do need to traverse dangerous areas and battle dangerous monsters along the way. The game usually sells for about $35 and is Steam Deck verified, and I feel this is the kind of game that might be very well suited for playing on the go. Reviews are at an impressive 94% positive, proving to be a very well regarded game. Judging by the reviews, there is a lot to like here. The atmosphere and the art style and even the emotional storyline of the relatable main character are all widely praised. Players appreciate the relaxed, no pressure gameplay, and multiple reviewers do seem to regard it as a Zelda meets Persona type experience when describing how the exploration meets the social aspect. There are some minor criticisms too, with the gameplay often feeling quite slow, with awkward controls, and the lack of difficulty being off-putting for some. Overall, it sounds like a very solid game and something that you would likely enjoy if you appreciate these more cozy and relaxing experiences. I'd be keen to give this one a go. Tchia is an open-world adventure that takes place in a tropical setting. You navigate the sandbox world on foot, in the water or through the air, and the game encourages you to approach puzzles and combat situations creatively, using the physics-based environment and your ability to take control of animals and other items to create interesting new strategies. The game was released in 2024 and currently sells for about $44, and it is highly regarded, with very positive reviews, currently at 89% positive on Steam. Thankfully, it is also Steam Deck verified, as this seems like another one that will be great to play on a handheld. Reviewers praise the bright and colourful tropical setting, and the general view is that the gameplay is simple, fun and satisfying. It's not on the scale with some other open world games, but the cozy open world is dense with collectibles and other things to do. However, some players might find it a bit tedious. Portions of the game are said to be long and slow, bogged down with mini-games and cutscenes that take you out of the game for far too long. It's obvious that a lot of care and passion went into this one, but even with the obvious inspirations from games like Breath of the Wild and a hint of Mario Odyssey, I don't think it's for everyone, and I don't think it's for me. Sker Ritual is an old-school, fast-paced survival FPS that pits you and a few friends against waves of zombies and other unthinkable horrors. You fight to survive, complete objectives, and collect and upgrade a range of weapons and godlike powers to succeed. And, like other games that offer both solo and co-op action, the game scales well in its difficulty to suit the size of your party. This modern gore fest was released in 2024 and currently goes for about $36 Australian dollars. There is also a demo available on Steam, so you can try before you buy. It is playable on the Steam Deck but not verified, so it maybe isn't the kind of game you'd want to play on the mobile device anyway. The game is generally well received with 84% positive lifetime reviews on Steam. Lots of positive reviews do seem to make the same reference that this is Call of Duty Zombies without the Call of Duty, but I'm not a Call of Duty enjoyer, so that reference is a bit lost on me, but it might mean something to you. Overall, players find it fun and challenging, but on the negative side, reviews tend to give it a little bit of a janky reputation in terms of movement, and it's a bit lacking in content. Both positive and negative reviews will talk about how it doesn't hold your hand very much, just throwing you into the action, so whether that's a good or a bad thing depends on you and your appetite for a challenge, and figuring out things as you go. It seems fun, but I'd be checking in with some friends first to see who else would be keen to take on the game before I went for this one. Unless I have some enthusiastic teammates to play with, I'd probably pass. Biped is an adventure game with a strong focus on jolly cooperation. While you can play solo, it's clear the game was designed with two players in mind. You and your buddy must work together to navigate through the stages, solving puzzles and surpassing physics-based obstacles in order to proceed. It features character customization and allows you to create and share custom stages on the Steam Workshop, which is a nice touch in terms of the amount of content available. The game was first released in 2020 and usually sells for about $20. However, a sequel has just been announced, and at the time of recording, the game is on sale for less than $5 to celebrate. The game is listed as Steam Deck playable, but with some question marks raised in the Steam community page, so do your research first if this is important for you. Over its lifetime, 86% of reviewers recommend this game. The reviews paint a picture of a fun, challenging experience, but also reinforces the idea that you really want to play this game with a partner. There is a fair amount of amusement and potentially frustration with a tricky control scheme, but overall the difficulty seems appropriate for the kind of game you might like to play with your non-pro gamer partner, a way to share some time together without needing to be frustrated by a particularly difficult or unfair gameplay experience. Some of the common complaints are that the game lacks polish, and if the game doesn't particularly vibe with you, you will probably lose interest in it very quickly. This might be a fun experience for those gamers out there who would like to introduce a friend, partner or family member to gaming a bit more, but I feel like there are more polished options out there these days that will achieve the same goals, such as Unraveled, It Takes Two or Split Fiction. This one doesn't appeal to me too much. Havendock is a cozy, relaxing colony sim set out over the water. You are tasked with building a settlement, collecting and managing resources, and developing your technology to develop a happy and thriving community. The fact that you are essentially building a floating settlement over the ocean is a unique point of difference that separates this game from others of its kind, though at its core it's still a familiar experience if you've played your share of city builders in the past, farming, exploring, researching, and that's all been done before. The game was released very recently, in April 2025, and sells for about $30. It is Steam Deck playable, not verified, so again, you want to do some reading into others' experiences if this is important to you. Interestingly, the lifetime reviews of the game are 85% positive, however recent reviews are a mixed 41%, so what went wrong? Well, at a glance, it seems the game has been available in early access for quite some time before reaching its big 1.0 release in April, and that seems to be the source of most of the frustration. People are confused that the game doesn't feel complete, and should still be considered an early access title, and they're now concerned that the game won't be receiving the fixes or updates it might still need at its core. By most reports, the start of the game is quite fun, but you quickly reach the wall, where the content suddenly ends and it makes it feel very incomplete and unfinished. The full 1.0 release also apparently removed some unfinished content and gameplay features, which is concerning considering the valid feeling that they may not get re-added anytime soon. It looks fun, but not unique, and based on the reviews it sounds like a bit of a mess. I'll pass for now. Overall, June makes for another interesting month for Humble Choice. The games on offer are generally well received, if not a bit flawed, and thankfully once again all the games are offered as Steam keys, with not an Origin key in sight. However, you can't help but feel that it lacks a real must-have flagship title that really sells the bundle. Boltgun might be the closest we get to that, but even so, it's a bit of a niche appeal that might be more of a nice to have rather than a bundle seller. Sitting back and looking at the list of games on offer, there are certainly a few I'd be interested to try out, but there is nothing there that I really feel disappointed to miss out on if I skip this bundle, and that's generally a good sign that that's exactly what I'm going to do. However, as always, if there are one or two titles that you're going to buy anyway, it absolutely makes sense to pull the trigger on this choice bundle and save a few dollars, and you get a handful of other games you can try out or give away. And with that, another month of Humble Choice has been weighed up. I hope you found this video useful in going over the offerings in order to help you decide whether it's of any value to you or not. I'll be back with another Smash or Pass next month. I'll be covering a range of games in between, so please consider subscribing and stick around for more. If you have any feedback on the format of this video, or if you have any other suggestions for other information I should include, please let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.